wouldn't you also be able to just measure from the top of the tire tread to where the nut is?
Potentially. Yeah, they should stick out the same on a tire. Yeah, that's
We're
correct.
online now, guys, by the way, just so everyone knows.
Yeah, so theoretically, yeah, the tip should protrude a certain amount.
Well, that's, ice racers never push the limits.
No.
They never bend the rules. So I think there should be a maximum protrusion number, because really that's all that anybody's interested in. From
Or
The hardware spec.
yeah, the hardware spec. That's a good idea, though. We should give a range of what's allowable.
How you gonna measure it?
Yeah.
Same way we used to, with a flat gauge.
You'd have to do
Yeah, you
that.
can do a big flat gauge, like a 3-inch wide.
Notch in
It's gotta be across the tire.
The ones that you
Oh,
made
yeah.
would work good, that you made for us that time.
Yeah, but those are bigger. So yeah, I'll make some queries back to Matt about that.
Actually, since it's gotta be on the center line, you could have a gauge that sits in the center line, in the slot.
That's
true.
true.
Yeah.
Drop it in there, and you just drop it over a stud, and it's either pass or fail.
That worked.
But
That worked.
if the tread on one tire is different
Well,
from
that's,
another.
yeah, but
tires.
the,
Yeah, but that's
the
already
spec
The
covered.
groove doesn't wear.
The groove doesn't wear, so that's gonna be
Yeah.
constant.
Okay,
So they are.
You know the old tires that they had studs in last year?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it doesn't say anywhere here that the old studs.
I was gonna write that in. Yeah, the old studs had to be taken out. That was gonna be my first line.
I have a dentist that could do that.
It gives them a low-cost alternative, because to stud 6 tires is basically $100. You know, if you can dismount them
Because you build night at,
at Enduro. Yeah.
thank you,
Enduro.
Enduro.
So I'm gonna publish this after I made a few little changes. I'm actually rewriting all the supplemental regulations for the club for ice racing based on a whole bunch of changes that were recommended at the WCM AGM. And when I read through our supplemental regulations, it was a little bit out of order. So I'm redoing it to put the important things first and build it logically, going all the way down. It's taking a little bit longer than I thought, but I think it's a worthwhile exercise. We don't have any major changes except for this, so now is the year to do it. But I'm hoping to have the supplemental regulations done by next week, which includes all the changes and things that were cleanup. A lot of it is cleanup. There's a lot of things that were added over the years to make the regulations so much longer than they really needed to be. It could be simplified and cut down. Now, in a couple, 2 or 3 places, kind of the same thing was mentioned. So a lot of reordering, a lot of cleaning up, a lot of redoing. And I also got a hold of Winnipeg supplemental regulations because they had to redo theirs just for some comparison between the two. Because they're trying to get amalgamated, more consolidated supplemental regulations that are in line with the WCMA regulations too.
Any mention of white cars?
No,
There used to be. It used
I
to be
read
in the
through
rules.
everything. I've never seen anything about white cars.
Why are we gonna make,
We don't like white cars.
why is it gotta be about the white cars?
Nothing personal.
I'm just saying.
Put some zebra stripes on it.
The one thing I'm going to do too is combine all the other class supplemental regulations into our main regulations too. So it's all in one document. Like you have to go to this document to get this, and then this document to get your class, and this document to do that. So I'm trying to put it all together. It may make it a little bit longer, but it'll make it a lot easier to find things. Just go to the one document and get everything right there. So,
Mark, I have a question just for my clarification.
yeah.
So the depth of that stud, you're taking off the center line, so you don't care how much tread that tire has then?
It says it in there. The doc-
Yeah.
Says it in there.
You do care. That's why they.
350
It has to be 350 thou of tread left.
Of tread left, okay.
So if you measure the tread depth on the tire, it either pass or fail, and then you measure the stud length, it either pass or fail.
Yeah, you got the 2 measurements.
Okay, so you are concerned about the tread and the stud?
And the
Yeah,
stud.
I just wanted to make sure I was understanding.
You're concerned about the stud because instead of using our standard washers, they could use some thinner washers and it would protrude out more, right? So the nice thing about our washers are they're very, very consistent. I don't know if anybody's ever checked fender washers. You can go to one store and find such a difference in just one batch, where these are very, very consistent.
We
And
could probably use a depth gauge, a tire depth gauge to figure some of that stuff out.
yeah, yeah, I'm gonna let them worry about it. You know, they're really the ones who have to police it. I'm just gonna give them some guidelines, and really it's up to them. And that's why I wanted them to come up with the specification too, because I don't want to write it for them and then they have to live with it. They have to write. They have to come up with it. I'm just gonna make some suggestions to them, and the ones suggestions I made back to Matt already have been, yeah, that's a good idea. So.
Overall, looks like a fairly elegant solution.
I think it potentially could be a fantastic solution. It's you don't have the problems of studs coming out. They hold the air really good. You know, I really pride myself last year is we didn't have any rollovers, and I think last year was.
Now you've jinxed it.
It had a lot to do with more control of the car with the street studs and the studs and everything, good track design, and a whole bunch of other things came in, but that's the first year that I remember we never had a rollover.
It's good for the marshals too.
Absolutely.
They don't feel like.
And I want to see if we can carry that over. So, you know, a lot of people say, oh, the Chevettes are faster, but really they're faster, but they have way more control. They're not flying into the banks and going over. They at least have a chance to try and recover and not just go into a bank at full speed and be totally out of control. So, you know, with the little bit of extra speed, it gives them more control too.
You've extended the world's supply of Chevettes thereby by about another 10 years.
Potentially could, yeah. That's, you know, if this works out good, we could be getting back to 20-car Chevette fields quite easily.
That'd be awesome.
It's a real cheap way of doing it. Now, these hand-cooked tires will eventually run out, so they're going to have to come up with another alternative, but if they can find something very similar, it should continue on.
Is it something that they're just got a massive stock of?
No, it's kind of sort of being discontinued, but the hand-cooked tire had been specified for the last 3 or 4 years, and people just got so many of them, but there is a similar tire that they make, but it's not exactly the same. Okay, enough about Chevette tires.
No. Keep going.
Nope.
Sean?
It's okay, Sean. You'll be okay.
Okay, next is the tire shaver, which we have purchased a tire shaver from a gentleman at OK Tire in Saskatoon. We found it sitting there collecting dust. They haven't ice raced out in Saskatoon for the past 5 or 6 years. So he was willing to part with it. And one of our fellow rally competitors by the name of Adam Vokes was on his way back from the Tall Pines Rally in Ontario and just happened to be going through Saskatoon. So he stopped and picked it up for us. So it's now down at his shop in Wetaskiwin County, and he's going to Sean's shop with it tomorrow morning. It will be delivered. So we're compensating him with a small amount of gas money for delivering it to Sean's shop for us, and
$40.
yeah,
What?
that's all.
We should compensate it for Saskatoon, though, too, right? Doesn't want any more than that?
That was all he asked for.
Really? Wow.
That's what I thought, $100.
I should be
That's what
minimum
I say.
$100.
Well,
We'll give
Just for his time and trouble.
It's too late, it's an envelope on the door now with his name on it, $40 in the cash, so.
We could always mail him a check if we feel so inclined. Sean doesn't want to spend any more money.
That's a hell of a deal.
Yes, and thank
Yes, yes.
I will pass along our sincere gratitude.
Yeah.
Yes, I've thanked him numerous times already, but on air here, thank you.
Send him
again
a
to
Kate's $50 coupon gift card. You can take his wife or something else for dinner.
Adam doesn't have a wife.
Okay, girlfriend, whatever. Take himself out for dinner.
He's a race car driver. He doesn't have a girlfriend.
Are you sure?
No insults to you, Adam.
None.
Now, along with us, this topic, Kevin wanted to talk about a build night for tire shaving.
Okay, so I apologize for being a little incoherent. Yes, so now that tire shaver's here, I will go tomorrow to, like, actually in the morning, which is
It's gonna be there at
big
8
thing for
o'clock.
me.
That's gonna be
So-
tough.
That's soon.
Well, I haven't slept for like 2 days, so I should be going to bed as soon as I get home from today. And yeah, so I'll be there and getting it fired up and making sure that we can at least, I'll break some test rims and things like that for now and see what we have to do to get it up. But if it looks like it should be no problem tomorrow, then I'll announce the date tomorrow night.
It will be there in the morning. I don't know what, I haven't seen it, I haven't operated it, I haven't test driven it. I mean,
Rod,
That's the point of why I'm
yeah,
going
Rod
tomorrow.
did mention that it might need sharpened.
Yeah, I want to
Check
go
that out.
set it up, make sure like it does what it's supposed to do, and what we have a plan that and a timeline that we can set a date for the actual build night. So it's not, we don't have the build night and it's not ready. So, but other than that,
I think it's set up to cut one size of rubber only.
so
So,
we'll see.
Oh, did he say that to you?
What'd you say, Sean? One size?
set up to cut one size only.
What size?
Oh,
We'll figure it out. I
We'll
look
figure it out.
from the photos, it looks very customizable. So
yeah, I think we can deal with it.
Is it 110 volt?
I don't know.
it's 443 phase. we'll shave tires in like 30 seconds.
Heavy duty.
It looked like a reasonable, well-built machine. They did all their tires, and if it requires a customization or modification, we know the guy. We know the guy.
Yeah, we got a machine shop on contract with the shops.
Yeah. Al. It starts with Al.
Oh, okay.
Al can do it.
Al's pretty useful.
He is.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, next up is the 2018 Winnipeg Sports Car Club rollover / safety plan,
So
which
yeah,
Ryan is gonna.
oh yeah, if you want to do it, I'll show the thing. But basically, before we start, it's not a debate about the rule or this reg change or anything. We're just going to go through the actual incident from our sanctioning body's like official thing, and then what their proposed changes will be, and then we can take ideas back of things we can also add to things, because they're trying very hard not to tell us we're gonna have to do it a certain way. They want us to give them ideas of, like, we have some things with gusseting and stuff like that, but any ideas that haven't already been shared, we will pass on to them. So we have a very specific, wide range modification to the reg when we do it.
So they're looking for some feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just wanted to get also the information out there properly. There was a lot of conjecture, misinformation, hypothesizing, whatever you want to call it about it. So we wanted to get some more direct information about what happened, all that type of thing, so we can be more informed.
So the impact in 2016 last year, or the 2016 season, the main point of impact was a rollover where the car hit the snowbank at high speed, and the main point of impact was driver's side A-pillar front corner of the roof. Impact caused you're getting it up right now?
Yeah, I just gotta turn the screen around.
Okay. Oh,
That's okay, it was
camera down.
only expensive 10 years ago.
That's the WCMA logo, Kevin.
Yep, I'm gonna get to so that's the actual, that was the car. I'll stand there slightly. So that was the car at the incident.
Yeah.
And then, but when you look at the next picture, it's, if you look at the angle of the cage already, you can tell it's.
Yeah, so the impact caused the car to deform the A-pillar 4 inches back and 4 inches down.
Both
side.
ways?
It went from in this direction 4 inches.
Okay.
It collapsed.
Yeah, the A-pillar fully collapsed. The welds did not break.
How's that?
Is it helmet?
The base plates did not deform, and the cage would have passed tech without any issues. The cage was completely legal for WCMA and still had this failure. Being a Honda Civic, a lot of people raced them. Kevin's one of them. But Honda Civic's been raced for a very long time, and this cage is not special in any way compared to the other cages that we normally use.
Yeah, it's. I think this particular car though does have unique geometry compared to most, because like my racer's been rolled I don't know how many times, and its cage is held, but This one, you can just tell already how steep, like this particular model, like
It is
the
a steep-
windshield's like really steep, and it's like, it's,
So was it a halo and a front leg at the A-pillar?
Sorry.
Is it halo?
It was
no, I don't
a
think it
main
has.
hoop with 2 lateral hoops, 2 half
Okay.
lateral hoops.
Yeah, it's, you can't see, there's nothing like really, it's just, yeah, I don't know.
So
Did
that
they rule out any possible weak spots in that cage?
welds didn't break.
Ryan already talked about that, you missed it. The
Uh,
welds didn't break and the plates
The
held.
base plates?
Yeah, so the design was sound by WCMA's current standards. The recommendation for, it was supposed to be for this year, but it's not gonna happen for this year, isn't enough time, was to add a roof bar from the passenger rear to the driver's front. And recommend that a FIA bar A-pillar reinforcement, which I have some pictures of right here.
I'll put it on the screen too. After.
To prevent the roof from collapsing and from being pushed, or the A-pillar being pushed back.
But this is the pictures. I'll zoom in on it.
Yeah, and just to clear up any confusion and just to get my ass off the hook, this is strictly only cage modifications for ice racing. It will not affect road racing at all until there was a change in the national roll cage design that is brought down from the national level. So it doesn't affect road racing at all unless there's a change at the national level for roll cage construction. Yes, John?
On the incident itself, what actually happened? He went off track, or did he roll on track and into a bank?
He went over one snowbank and rolled onto another snowbank because they have a access road like we do. I didn't see pictures of the actual incident, but that was the description I was given. So he rolled over one and landed on the other one.
So did he come down on the
You probably launched on one and landed
Rolled
on
over,
the second
came back.
one.
came down on the
Inverted.
ice before he hit, so probably solid ice hit then.
Yeah, so it was a hard hit. I don't
Yeah.
think that wasn't a soft hit. He hit very hard. As you
He
can
put
see,
the car on his roof and the roll cage failed.
And it's the,
Yeah, but it had been a fairly
Maybe he had a seagull, I don't know why it failed, it just failed.
high speed impact to have been
Yeah.
that cage,
Yeah.
even, you know.
But you know, his roll bar held up, right? Which is where your head is typically.
Well, Krusty's helmet.
yeah. So
But his head must have been ahead quite a ways in order for it to affect his helmet.
well, it's also too like the seating position, the height of the seat and stuff like that. I think I have to check, they were all within the regulations, but some people do sit really high up, and if your head's like, your helmet's really close to the bar, I don't.
think unless you're gonna build a super NASCAR cage, you're gonna have some that are gonna give a little bit.
Well, it's like in this particular one, like if it was me, if I had built it, I would have gusseted it a little bit because that probably would have stopped a lot of the deforming, which doesn't require that much modification to it. It's just like it's probably the weakest chassis car, one of the weakest you can have out there, right?
What is it? What was
It was a CRX.
CRX.
Okay.
It's
So
being
it's-
called a Civic in some spots.
they're
but
like-
it looks like a CRX.
CRX.
Really easy to crush the roof on them, even like.
I'd say that cage kinda did its job still, even though it was deformed.
Oh yeah, it would have
His
been a
neck
lot worse if
wasn't
he didn't have one.
Yeah,
Was just
Was he
cracked.
injured on that?
sometimes the cage is gonna be,
He was injured.
But like
yeah.
it's like the question of it, like any roll cage will fail at some point in time. But we've had a few A-pillar failures over the years, and
Yeah, I rolled a car
So he
once
gusseted
and,
it wouldn't have
and my
folded in.
front cage
But
went
it's
down
easy
about
mod.
3 inches, but
Up to 30 bars.
it didn't really affect me as a driver, cause my head was back at the
At the main hoop,
bar.
at the main hoop.
So yeah, I sit super close to the car, so I make sure on mine that my head has enough clearance because I sit very close to the steering wheel and everything. I wouldn't be able to have airbags in a car like that or something like that if I was like a street car. Just
It's not an exact science that all cages will deform, just like your seatbelt will deform, and part of the deformation is absorbing the force of the impact. The question is how much, and you want to keep all that deformation away from the driver as much as possible. So you can't look at this stuff. Oh no, the cage failed. Well, it didn't fail. It functioned incompletely, but it didn't fail. If the guy had had no cage, he would have been killed.
I don't have the
So
document,
it
but
did
there's
what it was supposed to do, but
Yeah, it did fail.
with the extreme angle of that windshield, it's very difficult for that particular design to do anything other than exactly what it did.
But it has happened in other cars that are raced other than the CRX. You're saying you had an 8-pillar fender.
Yeah, it was a similar design, like it was a Scirocco, so it was the same thing, that bar along the window was
Very
pretty,
steep.
yeah, it wasn't straight up and down by any means, but I mean,
So-
I was quite happy with how it held up, I mean, even though it sunk.
I think the point in this issue is that the cage, the position of the driver's seating and the deformation of the cage actually crushed his helmet and he cracked a couple vertebrae in his neck.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's the concern.
I get that for sure, yeah.
Yeah, I think like for this, from what I've been discussing with them, is we're still trying to set up the regs, but if they had like just small gussets, that's not hard to install. It's not a total redesign of the cage or having to cut holes in the roof and bar stuff like that. It would have helped a lot, but it's,
So
like I said,
I think before we get into the gussets and stuff, we'll go over what the WC recommended. WC wants the diagonal bar, and they want recommendation for an FIA bar. There's considerable talk last time that we were discussing this about not wanting to put the diagonal bar in. That was what where the idea of putting gussets in as a additional reinforcement for the diagonal bar for people that don't want to put it in or can't put it in. Julian was one of the people that said that he wouldn't put one in unless he absolutely had to. Vidor, do you have no? Okay.
I've installed, since the last meeting, I've installed the diagonal bar in the roof of my ice racing. And it's by no means a trivial thing. I spent 8 hours one day and 6 hours the next, getting the bar up and getting it fit the way I wanted it, tight to the roof line above my head, and it's tacked in place, it's still not welded. So to put that diagonal bar in there is a major work, and I do this shit for a living.
Wow.
Yes. Now, maybe I'm a little more fussy than most welders, don't take that the wrong way. But I spent a lot of time getting it fit the way I wanted it to fit, and it took me 14 hours to bend up one bar and get it the way I wanted it.
Well, typically on that bar, you can't even weld the top of it
Can't.
properly anyway.
No.
So the
So you're, it's like having a rag, and you can rip, it's half ripped. That's the way that bar is. It's got the top half, if it's welded pretty crappy, unless you took the roof off.
So the other thing you can do is you can use a hole saw on the roof and punch a hole over top of the
Yeah,
weld
that's
set.
true, yeah, that's a good idea.
That was the counter argument for that.
Yeah.
All in all, like just doing that seems quite reasonable to if that prevents it from hitting the driver.
That's true, yeah.
Like it's just basically it is. WCB is concerned about our roll cages not being good enough if there's failures happening on a somewhat regular basis, and now somebody's gotten hurt. That we need to do something about it, and nothing is not the right answer. John?
I think we need a bar in the roof to prevent the roof from collapsing in a snowbank. When you're upside down in your roof, you land on a snowbank, the roof collapses down on the driver. So we gotta have a bar. That's a given. Whether it's horizontal, diagonal, there's gotta be a bar to keep the roof up.
But if you're going to go through the trouble of putting a bar in the roof, the diagonal bar accomplishes two things. It stops the roof from collapsing, and it stops the A-pillar from moving backward. So that'd be if you're going to put a bar in, you might as well do it that way.
Yeah, if you're gonna put a bar in, yes, you do it that way. My concern going back now is we've been recommending for years to put Jones bars in north-south, which quite a few of us have done. Do we have to take out the Jones bar and put a diagonal bar, or can we make a half diagonal to go with our Jones bar?
the Jones bar 2, like in the final revision, might actually be an acceptable retrofit too that they're talking about. So it's
Probably
they're
tie in that diagonal.
That was my thought,
tie
if
into your Jones bar,
But
they might
Yeah.
spec it that new cages need to have these new bars, but the old ones, there'll be a list of remedial things that kind of been done or not done that will grandfather them in, so to speak. So you don't have to.
I think there's another issue with this incident. I ice raced for a number of years and road raced, and I in a Datsun you sit right at the hoop at the back, okay? And other cars, the hoop's a little further back. But the driver should be positioned fairly close to that hoop, which didn't deform from what I'm hearing from any of the reports. So his area where the driver is sitting should have maintained its integrity even with the A-pillar coming down. So what hit his helmet? Because that wouldn't have been hit from a deformity to the cage of the A-pillar. If it deformed farther back by his head and came in, or did he bang his head in the impact when he went over, I think the driver's area should have survived even with an A-pillar, it's not failure, but distortion.
So the CRX is a very low slung car, so my guess is that the head was very close to the roof line, and that any deformation resulted in him hitting his head. Now, you could say that, well, he just should be shorter, but like it's not really fair, right? Like everyone's going to be trying to sit in or just going to drive whatever car they want. I know in the RX-7 where I rolled it, even someone as short as me was touching my head against the roof.
But
so,
then if you get any deformation of the roof and the rollover, you've got the contact problem.
But if the bar goes down, the roof would hit me in the head. So it doesn't matter, like the roof, if you weld the roof to the cage so that it couldn't deform, and you added extra bracing, if the whole roof comes down, it's going to hit you in the head.
But then your hoop at the back has to deform as well.
No, because it can just bend straight down. So like you don't sit with your head right against the back bar. You sit, a few inches in front of it. So if it goes down and you're already almost touching, it only takes an inch of deflection before it hits you.
I thought we had a mandatory space from helmet to roof.
I was reading the specs, and I think there was. I can't remember where I read it, but I'll go back and look. We're not going to try and solve and debate this to death tonight, but we just want to bring more information back to you guys, and kind of give it some food for thought, because Sean is already putting in a diagonal bar. He thinks it's worthwhile. It's a lot of work. I can understand.
My car, I know how my neck felt.
Yeah, and I put my Jones bar in immediately after my car was rolled, because I know how important it is, because that roof comes down. The roll cage didn't come down, the roof came down, so at least that protects the roof, and the diagonal bar will protect the roof. So it's important, and I recommend everybody do it, but as far as making everybody do it, it wasn't going to happen this year just because of the time constraint.
Yeah, like as a club, to basically to end the discussion, I guess, is we're trying to make it so that we have reasonable options for cages that already exist, and then for people who are building new cages, they'll have to build with the highest of all the regulations. But we just want, when we're taking consideration, we don't want to cut holes in roofs, especially if you have like classic cars and stuff like that, or if you're racing, your ice racer sometimes in road racing and stuff like that. We just want to make sure that nobody's having to do way extra work for the safety factor. We should be able to get a good bang for the safety buck without having to do crazy stuff if you already have stuff.
One of the things I wanted to do too was, during the season, is look at our cage designs on a lot of the cars. I can't even remember what a Chevette cage looks like. But to look at some of the designs on the cage. I know the neon cages are super heavy duty. They are twice as thick as steel that is specified for the roll cages. They're very heavy duty. There's no way those are going to deform that much. But a lot of other cars have different designs, and the Civics and the CRXs and the Golfs and the Scirocco's, they all have little idiosyncrasies. And seat position, I think what John said is really important, because you can design the biggest cage, but if you're going to sit in a bad location inside that cage, It's
Because in a rollover, your belt's gonna stretch anyway, so you're gonna move in that seat, no matter how tight your belts are.
so I think looking at existing cages within our inventory, it will help us too. And you know, maybe it's not an issue. Maybe it, you know, while everybody's got their cars out this winter, somebody figures out a real neat, quick way to put in a Chevette diagonal bar, and he decides to do 3 cars in one weekend. It can be done, right? So, but as a club, we are going to recommend a roof bar, diagonal bar, and if they can get it done this year, great.
What about the FIA bar?
FIA bar right now is only being recommended for new cage builds, so if somebody wanted to build a new ice racer for next year, they would have to put in an
Now, I know there
FIA
was-
8-pillar bar.
I know there was some discussion last time about people having problems getting in and out of the car because of the FIA bar.
Yep.
So
Is there a possibility that we can make that bar removable? Like, I mean, you're pulling trailers with 5/8 hitch pin, all right? If you're not gonna make an FIA bar mandatory, having that in with a 5/8 hitch pin is still gonna provide some sort of extra safety than not having it at all.
But the thing with the, like, if you have like a removable joint, FIA has a page for removable members.
It's a lot harder to do.
So it ends up being more work than just welding it in. As far as getting in and out, properly designed FIA cage, you should be able to get in and out without any problems. Well,
You would-
A normal individual,
So-
maybe.
yeah. So if you are a normal human being, the FIA bar can be within 10 centimeters of the upright, where it meets the roof joint. It can be anywhere along the 8-pillar bar within 10 centimeters, and it goes down within 10 centimeters of the floor. I have a picture up here, but if anyone is really interested. But if you do it properly, the FIA bar should be behind the steering wheel against the 8-pillar. And then if it's behind the steering wheel against the 8-pillar, or near the 8-pillar, you're not going to have any interference problems. It'll be behind where you would be anyway.
Which is the FIA bar.
Take both.
I looked at, I mocked up it at the FIA bar in my ice racer.
It's not going to work for you.
Not for me.
No, in a new cage design, you'd have to do the consideration of the FIA bar and really design it well.
Just not enough, I can't, I thought about putting it in there, and
Yeah.
I just will not be able to get in my car.
Yeah.
If you had your,
I lost 100 pounds, and
no, sorry.
it was 6 inches shorter, maybe,
Well, you can,
a lot more flexible.
to make the angle less extreme, you can lower the where the roof, for the front roof bar goes across, and move that point forward, so it's farther forward. But that's if you're building a new cage,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because if the FIA rules are allowed to be within a certain, block certain dimension as well.
If, I think the FIA bar is a good idea, and if I could get in and out of my car with the FIA bar in there, I would want it. So I just can't get in and out of the car.
Yeah, the neons have a very short
Yeah,
door.
yeah.
It's not a long door, and there's not a lot of space. So-
Does it make sense to ask our tech guys when they're teching the cars, because I think they're checking cage information, that we document this year what our cars have for material?
Yeah.
That is part of it as well, as what we discussed with WCMA, because as Mark had said, we have no idea what a lot of cages look like anymore. I mean, like, some of these cages are 30 years old.
Well, let's see what we got for material in them, and that'll help us look at where we're going. Is it Schedule 40, is it 80, or?
Yeah.
Well, it shouldn't be plate to begin with, it should be tubing.
That's right.
Fuck, for goodness sakes, I meant to say.
Okay.
You'll find some.
I think we've beaten that one enough for now. Like I said, nothing's going to happen this year. Winnipeg's going ahead and putting in some, I've heard they're putting in just about all roof bars and some A-pillars. And we'll see how it goes. Okay, moving on.
Okay, next is the plow truck update.
Oh.
So the plow truck is currently at River City. Did you hear the manifold?
Yeah, the manifold has broken studs in it, and it's warped about an 1/8 inch. Chris Sonic didn't think it was warped, but it was straight edge on it. And
Yes, work.
It's warped, yeah. So, I called over there and they asked me, I priced out a new one, and said it was $700 for a new one from GM. Couldn't get an aftermarket one, so I figured it was gonna take me about probably 4 hours to mill it, and another 4 hours to get the studs out, so it was gonna take about 8 hours to repair it. So I phoned around and found an aftermarket supplier. I bought a new manifold in the back of my truck. It was $275. So,
Yes.
Excellent.
yeah.
This is an exhaust manifold, right?
For the-
Couldn't find one out of an auto wreck or?
Didn't care to.
Well,
It's too much work.
An auto wrecker would have ended up being
Same thing.
$275 basically anyway, because they have to pay somebody to pull it out too.
And it would have been the broken studs and twisted studs and the C studs and the
Yeah.
warp manifold and the same thing. We have manifolds not cracked. Just needs to be repaired. The studs need to be removed and it needs to be milled flat. Which is
But
not,
like you said, that's too many hours.
another used one would have been the same thing. So for $275 for
Which is good.
Yeah.
700, I was gonna fix it. But for 275, not.
And did it need anything else?
The stuff that isn't being fixed at River City, I'll do myself, and John and I are gonna work with the heater and the plow after the repairs are done at River City.
You can put it in my shop if you want to get in the warm or it's warm or cozy.
Actually, River City went through the truck quite comprehensively and looked at everything. The truck, in my mind, actually came out pretty good. Besides the manifold, the heater, and a few other little things, the rest of it was pretty good, including the brakes, which I was surprised. So
Brakes were done, not too long ago.
I'm surprised the front end was still good.
Yeah.
yeah, so
What's
the,
wrong with
what-
the driving
what was the
issue
story on
with
the
that
heater?
truck?
So
The transmission.
well,
the driving issue, the technician that was working on it thinks this was due to it being low on power. I've talked to a few people, and apparently, because there's two batteries, if one battery doesn't have a full charge, the transmission won't receive enough voltage to operate properly.
Right.
So it'll start and then it'll run, but you won't get enough power to the transmission for it to run all the solenoids properly.
Well,
But that's
makes sense.
That's
I replaced the batteries in it 2 years ago, I think, I had two batteries in it. It cranks over well.
yeah. The cranking battery he said is good, but the
Oh, is that what the
glow-
second battery was for?
Second.
the glow
Auxiliary.
plug battery isn't, or the battery that powers the glow plugs and some other things.
Tell them to replace it, or are you gonna?
They
We're gonna
are,
replace
they
it.
are in parallel, those batteries. They are hooked up in parallel.
I don't actually.
I put the good battery that was wired right direct to the starter.
But I
put
know-
the good battery, the one that was going to the starter, I put the good battery. the
There's
best battery.
diodes between the second one and the first one. I don't think they're wired in parallel, but it doesn't actually go to the starter.
In mine, I didn't notice a diode. They've got both battery cables coming into a center point, and from there it goes out. Now, I could have missed something when I was looking at that, but I can possibly see that it's a battery issue, because I know in one of my batteries, and I just replaced mine, she wouldn't start very well. She'd start and she wouldn't, and she wouldn't, and it did some funky things.
Well, when I took it that time, I had the problem, Sean. That makes sense because when I turned it on, normally you hear the torque converter, everything like click on, but it like just wouldn't do anything, and it was like in neutral the whole time.
He said, I talked to one, was it you I was talking to, or the technician from River City said he thought that the transmission was in limp mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, then it's an electronic module
Yes.
that controls that's the problem. Because I had that in the GM that I had.
Yeah. So it,
And it was an electronic module that controls the transmission.
Did they scan it at all?
yes,
Yeah.
they did a full.
Because I had two problems. One was an ignition problem, and they said it doesn't have enough voltage getting to it. That's why it shut down the transmission.
When we go through the heater and try and figure it out, I want to tear all the main power leads off and clean them and make sure we got a good connection so both batteries are getting charged equally. Because if we got a resistance connection to the glow plug battery, then it won't get a full charge and it'll die.
I thought we were going to replace the passenger side battery. No,
Passenger side battery is being replaced.
it is being replaced. Okay,
Which?
good.
The passenger side battery.
River City isn't doing it because they're going to charge us. I think it
Yeah,
was
no, I understand, but we
$80.
should replace it and then
Yeah.
take John's suggestion, making sure the
Yeah, we'll clean everything.
cleaned up.
And
So-
if we got a bad connection, then it ain't gonna work.
Something that was brought to my attention when I was dealing with batteries in my truck. How are the batteries if you do a test on them? What are the levels?
One's good, one's new, and the other one was new a year ago, like I replace one every year. So one's 2 years old, one's a year old, one's 2 years old.
Because something was explained to me is when you replace them, you should replace them both at once.
Yeah, I know, but
But
if
the
you,
problem is when they're a year old.
Well, no, but you see, but this, I realize that, and I understand where you're coming from. But one is always working off the other one, and you're getting an imbalance on those trucks.
yeah, that's quite possible.
Well, that's why they have the diode, right? It's not supposed to.
But, you know, I guess the bottom line is the truck is not as bad as we thought, and we should send out a big thanks to John Kershaw, because
Yes.
we're kind of panicking.
John has done a tremendous amount of work on this.
We're kind of panicking after last meeting and thinking our truck was about to die and we have to buy something, and John did a tremendous amount of work looking for options for us to buy, and we actually are quite knowledgeable now on used trucks. So. We know the prices of used trucks and plows through the whole of northern Alberta, so we almost pulled the trigger on one truck, but I'm kind of glad we didn't, because our truck is not as bad as we thought, but we're still in the market and we still need to do something long term for
Yes.
our
Now,
plow.
speaking of that,
Our truck and
John is
plow.
going tomorrow to,
There's a truck with a plow at Ritchie Brothers. It's an '09 GM, 3/4 ton. It's been well used. It's got an 8-foot blade on it. It's a straight blade.
Diesel or gas?
Gas,
6
6 liter. I fired it up and ran,
Oh.
shifted through the gears. Tires still need to be replaced. Body is rusty in places that's been sort of painted over. Seats are worn and stained, but for us it'll be just fine. If we get it cheap enough, it'll work for us. I'm gonna bid up to, I have approval to bid to $3,000 on it. If you wanna go a little more, fine, but I don't think we wanna spend much more than that on it.
Is it that red one you sent me a picture of?
Yeah.
I think you use your discretion, John. If you think you can get it for 35, you do it.
Yeah, we'll
But,
see what there is.
you know,
But
see how it goes.
As the truck stands by itself, it's a $2,500 truck.
What's Richie charge when you buy there? Is there a $10 or a
There's
10%?
There's a 2.5% if it's over $2,500, and it's 5 or 10% if it's under 2,500. I think it's 10%.
yeah, I think you said 10 in your
Yeah,
opinion.
it's 10%.
Our thinking was if we can get this truck cheap enough, it has a straight plow on, but it would certainly make us great as a second plow truck, a good backup and an emergency truck for that price.
It'll probably be better plow for cleanup during races than our V plow.
Yeah, use the V plow for main construction and this one for cleanup. So
For $3,000, it's not a lifetime commitment. I mean, if it gets through the season and we wanna get rid of it at the end of the season, put it back in the auction again. Take the plow, put it back in the auction again.
We're gonna get the same amount of money for the truck.
Yeah, exactly.
Free rent.
Now, it's a Western plow, so that it's a less expensive plow. After looking at the both plows, we got a hell of a good plow in our truck.
So yeah, thanks John for doing that, and appreciate all the work you've done.
Okay, next is ice race daily schedule update / debate.
Yeah, it wasn't supposed to be a debate. I just want, if anybody's got any ideas, like, you know, every year we kind of mix our way through the schedule and see how it goes, and we have a lot of it is based on entries and so on, but if anybody's got any thoughts or would like to see something different on how the schedule's done, I haven't really given much thought to the schedule this year, because last year we double shifted the Chevettes last year with their street studs. And we still might want to consider doing that again this year based on car counts, because we ran the Chevettes with the rubber no stud cars just to give them more fun and get more cars out there and give the guys with no stud more traction. Seemed to work out good. Now I've got no idea how many rubber to ice cars we're going to get. I know I've heard we're getting at least 10 Chevettes back, and I'm hoping we're going to get at least 7 studded cars back. So at least we can maintain the numbers from last year. Potentially we might get a few more than last year. But is there something we want to do with our schedule to make it more fun for everybody? Should we be running an Australian Pursuit every day? Should we be running a fun inverted race every day instead of just continually going through our normal cycle of no stud studded Chevettes, no stud studded Chevettes? thinking of ideas to mix it up, make it more fun, attract people, make it for fun for everybody, and just have some ideas from anybody who's watching or in this room on things that we could do to change things up a bit. Because I think if we keep it fun and keep it and get everybody happy, we're going to keep everybody happy and draw more competitors. We just can't keep on doing the same things we've been doing, because we kind of gradually losing year after year after year. So I'm throwing it out. I'm open to all suggestions about schedule. I'm not the only one here who just makes up the schedule. I'm the one who
Hands out the paper.
hands out the paper, but I need everybody's input on what you would like to see happen with ice racing.
Session for Shriners on mini bikes, jumping through flaming hoops.
I haven't had a chance to write back on the email, but I guess I can announce some of the ideas I had here. One of the ones I wanted to bring food trucks, like at least have hot food every event.
That's a different topic. Don't jump out of order.
So, well, it's pertaining, but the other thing too is I have always been a fan of open practice, where you can come on and off for extended period of time and mixed cars. If it's practice, people want to drive fast or slow or do whatever. There's a different style of driving for that kind of stuff, but giving people more time to set their settings is kind of fun. I really like having, maybe not every event, but on maybe 2 events of the year at the end, doing a bring the letting the volunteers come in the cars again and have ride-alongs and stuff like that, where people can, pay and split it with charity, and the owner of the car, kind of like we did at Lac La Biche, to get more people out, just to get into it. Because a lot of people, they're like, oh yeah, it looks like fun. They come in your car and they're like, oh, I want to ice race now. So I found a lot of people were really open to that. Just trying to engage more people who don't actually sit in cars, and then also to have maybe like we'll have our year-end dinner kind of thing too, but like maybe have it at the end of the season or at the end of the day, like an actual organized thing where everybody can go like an hour and a half later or 2 hours in the evening to talk about the racing and just have a get together or whatever. So I just trying to so people that want to come and volunteer, they're like, oh, I can also be part of the community and the culture of the group. And because a lot of people just don't have the money, but they want to volunteer, and they're really surprised at how easy and open it is to do it. So I've managed to pull a few people in, and it's worked quite well. So
John?
Is there any reason we couldn't do a lapping session at lunch?
Other than the fact that you need volunteers to warm up.
Well, what do we need for volunteers on the corners for the front?
Tow truck driver.
Hey, Mark?
Tow truck driver.
Rescue.
Yeah, I think the only reason we
need at
never
least one in every corner.
we never did it because we like to have everybody have a break, and then also the plow truck needed to be out there to clean up. So I believe we can make it work, John. We can just extend our lunch hour a little bit, because I don't think I think our racers don't want to be out on track as much as they are. That's a sense of feel I get. They want their 3 or 4 races, but anything more than that is too much.
With the reduced fields, if you're going like every second session, it's a lot of going, man, and it wears you out.
I got frostbite pretty bad.
My question was so much as, can we offer a lapping event with the crew members who are supporting the racers can get an opportunity to do something on track?
Like what we did for our last event this year?
Yeah.
Or last year?
Whether it's in the race car or whether it's their own street car lapping, I'm just wondering if there's a way we can encourage these people to get a helmet on and get a taste of what it's actually like out there, so they can.
What we did at the end of the season last year was we had ride-alongs. We had one of my crew guys, he had taken the ice driving school, and I got him to let him drive my car for a bunch of the sessions, and he drove and I instructed him, and he had a ball. He wants to go out and go ice racing this winter. So
Yeah.
Things like that to get,
I think that was a one-off, and you know, I don't want to put a damper on it, but I don't know if we did it on a regular basis, how that would go over. You know,
sorry.
no, I'm just worried about the liability insurance, all those types of
Coupled
things.
with the, I mean, like, taking the volunteers for laps, I mean, I think that's a great thing.
Oh no, that was great, and I think that was great. You know, I just need to check with a couple of people, I think, before we wanted to do something on a regular basis. Like, I think everybody's on board for one-offs to do stuff like that, and but you know, I'm a little bit worried. I think it's a great idea, John, but I'm a little bit worried if every weekend we said we had a lapping session and anybody can come out and lap. You know, I think that's.
I think we might want to set a cap on the number of cars on the track.
Oh, absolutely. We'd have to set limits and
Yeah,
all of that.
we'd have to run it with spaced out. We need a couple of people to on-off track type things. And it's just a case of if we can get more people into our sport by giving them a taste of it, let's see if we can work it into our.
I think we can, because you know, I think like Sean's got a good point. Like, nobody wants, an ice racer wants to run 5-6 races in a day. It's just too much. So I think we can work that schedule to give us a little more gap and a little more leeway that we can try different things like that and see how they work, you know.
That being said, the Australian Pursuit was great to watch.
Oh,
no, I don't know how driving it was, but it was a really fun.
It was
the race of the year.
It was interesting.
In a stud car, it's awesome. I don't know how the rubber guys feel about this. In a stud car is the most fun you can have in a race car.
As long as the rubber guys stick to their lines, it's okay.
Well, as much as they can.
No, we got to do more
Any
things like that.
suggestions?
Make it snow.
I'm recommending people to put a second seat in their car and make sure, because it's I don't know, taking people out and like doing it is it's fun for everybody.
I guess we never talked about our little session that we had last week either, did we?
The preschool.
Yeah, but sorry, Ken, you
Well, I
had.
was just wondering with that second seat, because I've done that as well, and I've used seat belts that were expired, even though I'm pretty confident there's nothing wrong with them, like a 5-point harness. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's still better than if I had a factory seat belt.
Absolutely.
It's like when you take people on ride-alongs, you basically treat it like a lapping event. You're not passing unless like there's good communication. You're not supposed to be racing at like racing people. It's just, you know, you might go in a turn and, you know, have some fun with it, but it's you shouldn't be doing anything that is going to involve other people. Well, it's like, yeah, you basically, because you're in control of the safety of the person with you, right? So
Because you got a balanced car.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good point.
John was,
And that's something you should bring up when you do have it. Make everybody aware that it's not a real balls out kind of a drive.
Scare this passenger to shit. Yeah.
When I got passengers in here, I like to jump over the banks.
yeah, I
Just so they get their money's worth.
what I told the people in my was just
back too much.
like
A little bit.
have fun with it, but when
totally
there's
enjoyed
other
that with you.
vehicles
That was
on the
awesome.
road,
Thank you.
like on the track, slow down around the other vehicles because it's not a race. But because just basically make sure that the risk you're taking is mainly you're in control of that, so you don't have to like someone not going to fly by you or do stuff like that, and lots of communication. But I think we raced a little hot at Lac La Biche with some of the people in it, but it was still noticeably tame
Yeah, it
compared
was
to
tamer,
racing.
yeah.
So there was no close calls or anything like that.
No, there was no close calls. I got shit for going too fast.
1-0 for the owners.
Speaking of which, they're playing here tonight?
Yeah.
I'd like to get out of here. Gotta go through all that shit to go home. So what time's the game over?
It's in the second
start
period
till
now. 3 minutes
7:30.
into the second.
Okay.
Okay, what else is on the agenda?
I was just gonna say, Kevin and I did our ice race preschool last week, which was well attended by a whole bunch of club members, and we had 3 potential new people interested in racing, 2 of which can't really afford it right now. The third guy was looking online at cars while we were having the presentation.
Vitor.
Yes, he was talking to.
He's just another big fly.
It was interesting. I was
He's not gonna come anyways.
No? Ah.
I was not as happy as it could have been for people that were there, but it showed that there was interest and that most people, if they can't race, once they get all the info, they want us to contact them for volunteer stuff, and so that they know, and like to find out how to follow the page for that, because they do want to come out. It's
And
just
some of them are interested in coming out and helping crew, so if anybody needs a crew.
I thought more people would attend that section anyway, right? Just 3 people, and I saw the room would be full, right?
I know.
You know,
yeah. I'm thinking that like the point of that is I don't think the Wednesday night was the best night. I'm looking at other options and the time and stuff like that. It's just, I don't know. It was a weird week, because I look at the metrics of other events that happen on the same day, and attendance was down on even for restaurants and stuff like that day. So I don't know what happened. People just weren't going out that night because I guess it was really cold and snowy, so people didn't want to come out, which is. It's just a psychological thing. So
Yeah, but you can't predict that in advance.
Yes.
yeah, but it's just I think it's a good start, and I'd like to have it again. Unfortunately, for the microphone, you can't really hear what we were saying, so I'm going to
really?
actually re-record it
Aw.
in a like at home, in a quick little thing to put on YouTube just to go through the stuff again. But other than that, I think when it's online, we'll have a lot of people viewing it. A lot of people want to watch it, but like I said. When we came here, when it was snowing and the roads were terrible, and most people, even if they just don't want to come out.
It was icy that day.
Yeah.
It was really cold and icy.
Well,
It
buy
was,
some Blizzaks, jeez.
It's-
You guys did a great job. You kept your notes, and you can do it again, right?
yeah, and it was short. We tried to make it I think I went a little over in mine by 10 minutes, but I tried to make it 30 minutes and then a break and then 30 minutes. So you just come get your info and then chat about all the related things with people here. But we'll definitely do it again. I don't mind even doing another one mid-season just to get people to come out and stuff like that. It costs us about $100 or $170 because we have to use the AV stuff here to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what the other thing with that is kind of related to not. I like to work more with Chateau Louis to see what we can do when we have events, if we can work with them together to sort of, because they do give us the room at a discount, maybe we can make some new arrangements so that we can use this almost all the time without having too much of an extra fee. So, but I was thinking they do banquet halls, stuff like that, and I actually enjoy the food. I've been to a lot of events here, so it's just something to keep in mind that we have a really good facility here for that.
What was the rent on the screen?
I think it's $70 added to the $100 room charge. So, but that includes they come and they can bring the markers and all the other stuff, and they make sure everything works. So.
Because if we got a projector, we can project onto that screen.
Well, the issue is not really that. It's this is a business and they're giving us the stuff, and that would be not very good to do that. So.
Not tactful.
But they also said too, if we have events that have more than 75 people, they can offer, I don't even think it's much of a charge, if any, a bartender to come serve too. So if we want to have a social night or something like that here where we just mingle and have a presentation, they can give us a bartender. But they said there's a minimum amount of attendance they have to have for that. Otherwise there'll be a charge. So.
Okay, next was food trucks, Kevin.
We talked about that.
Yeah, I just say, just put the word out. If you know anyone or have your favorite food trucks, or Frank's, someone knows Frank at Frank's thing, whatever, just say hey, do you want to come out? We would like at least 1 or 2 food trucks at all events. And if somebody wants to even if a food truck guy wants to maybe sign a contract with us to be the exclusive for certain events and stuff like that, that's cool. And then, yeah, and then the only other thing, sorry, I forgot to add, on the previous topic about things to do, the racetrack, I think it might be cool to have a theme, ice race theme night for every race after the first race day, the weekend. So we'll have Australian Pursuit weekend, and then we might have, I don't know, ride along weekend and stuff, like just to have like a theme to have fun with it. It's just sort of, yeah, I think that worked really well for us this year, because although our amount of people that were down actual racing this year, we didn't lose the equivalent amount of money. We're actually making money more efficiently. So we didn't hit, like now that the financials are done, it doesn't look like we took as much of a hit as we should have. So we're doing stuff right. So just try to get the attendance up by making it as fun as possible.
Score is tied.
Okay, and Mark has the hardware available for...
I don't think anybody wants hardware, but I brought along some if people want to look at it. Also brought along some stickers, but no, Sean always brings stickers, so if you need stickers for your race car, pick them up tonight.
Oh, yeah, and then this is just for reference to the web audience, because we wouldn't have the camera going at the same time. We did do the financials. They've been signed on. They're going to be sent in, and we covered the 2017 financials, and we also finalized the Chevette tire spec, and the information is now available. So I just wanted to make that on the record for the recording.
Okay, and our next meeting will be on December the 20th, and it'll be a social meeting.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we'll be meeting over in the upstairs bar for that one, okay?
Yeah, and it'll be the same time because we did do the survey.
Can you do that online? Can you promote the fact that it's over there, not over here?
Yeah,
And
I'll
can you
put
change
it there.
the room booking? I think you take care of those? Just cancel this room for the 20th.
Okay.
I can call them.
But,
You want me to do it?
Sure.
no, I'll do it because I got to book it for the ice race.
Okay.
I'll do
Oh, okay, perfect, thank
it. I
you.
got to book the room for the ice race.
Well, because I wanted to meet with them to see what other options they have for us too. Might even just come down here and meet with the Chateau Louis thing. I could do all that at the same time.
Well, I'll talk to you about it.
Okay.
Okay, anybody got any other things they want to bring up over here? Other than Sean needs more beer?
That's it. That's all Sean needs.
Okay, thanks for coming. See you on the 20th.
Fixing a broken